Let's break down the Defensive Player of the Year award. In my opinion, one of the hardest awards that you could choose for somebody to win this. The reason why, there's so many plays on defense that do not show up in a box score, in a stat sheet, unless you're using analytics, advanced analytics. And I'll get into a little bit of that just to try to buffer my point as to who I think is deserving of this award. Outside of that, I just think defense is something that you really got to sit down and watch and appreciate and understand what's going on. To really get into what I'm saying, let's look at the 1990 NBA season. On the left, Hakeem Olajuwon averaged just over 2 steals a game and 4.6 blocks per game. I would challenge y'all to go through NBA history and find how many guys did that outside of Hakeem Olajuwon. It's not many. So those stats alone is very rare. Now look at the right, who actually won Defensive Player of the Year in this season. Dennis Rodman, who averaged less than a steal a game, less than a block, but he was the one who was awarded. Again, I know this is over 30 years. You could go through different seasons of who won Defensive Player of the Year, and you will see that there's other examples almost like this, where a guy may be averaging really good statistics in terms of steals and blocks, then somebody else ends up getting it because they're actually watching the games and seeing how they affect the court. Not to say that Hakeem Olajuwon didn't, obviously, right? I'm just saying it's deeper than numbers. This is also why I'm not a huge fan of the plus-minus statistic, because I could check in the game, and if my teammates are really hot, maybe I got 2 stars going one-on-one, just scoring buckets. I don't have to do much. We go on a 10-0 run, and now I'm up plus 10 on my plus-minus. However, in reverse, if I'm a really great defender, I'm locking my guy down, and I'm on a court with other guys who are not playing great defense, and they're giving up easy layups, open three-pointers. Now my plus-minus is affected in a negative way. Don't get it twisted though, numbers have a time and place. And as we look at these 3 finalists who could win Defensive Player of the Year, I'm actually going to use some numbers to showcase why specifically it favors Rudy Gobert. Let's get into this. If we check out the top defensive ratings for each player, Rudy leads the league in the lowest at 104.1. Basically what this defensive rating means is that for every 100 possessions, Rudy gives up the least amount of points for every 100 possessions that he himself is on the court. As you see, Victor Wembanyama is right behind Rudy, and he's also one of the finalists for the award. Now, interestingly enough, Nikola Jokic is 3rd on this list, which either tells me he deserves more credit for the defensive player that he is, or this is another situation where numbers don't always contextualize everything that's going on. Now, if you keep scrolling down on this list, you see that Bam Adebayo is pretty high rated, as well as Anthony Davis. I want to focus on Bam just for now because he says something that I actually agree with, and it would lead more credence into himself and Anthony Davis and Victor Wembanyama winning. But just before I get into this audio clip of what Bam is talking about, I still have to show in fairness that Minnesota Timberwolves are also the #1 defensive team as well. So with Rudy having the best defensive rating in Minnesota, the #1 team, that is pretty impressive. It says something. Although Bam Adebayo and the Miami Heat, they're a very good defensive team as well, as you can see.
You have said that you are the best defender. Make your case.
I guard 1 through 5. It's not a lot of us. Me, Draymond, Giannis. Who else?
What, last year, Marcus Smart won, year before that, Rudy won.
Yeah, but Rudy can't.
That's a very fair assessment to me, especially in a league that puts such a premium on versatility and being able to switch on defenders when a screen is being set, as opposed to fighting over the screen and getting back to your original defender, some old school basketball kind of thing. Also, take time to read that quote that is on the screen. That just came out very recently, and Anthony Davis is echoing the same sentiments that Bam Adebayo echoed just last year. I will give Rudy some credit though, because when he came onto the Minnesota Timberwolves, he did play a little bit more on the perimeter and guarded guys. I'll show you a clip just as an example.
This game, I think, is well represented. Yeah. Good defense there. Excellent.
Look at Rudy move his feet on Booker. Got on the baseline. Oh, what a layup. A classy finish.
Pretty good defense by Rudy Gobert, even though Devin Booker eventually got the basket. He was moving his feet well. Just at the last minute, Booker put it behind his back. He couldn't really recover as fast with his feet. He got the layup. He still contested it. It was overall good defense. Let me get into somebody else who, in my opinion, I would have gave Defensive Player of the Year, but because their record isn't as good, Victor Wembanyama is obviously who I'm talking about. He's probably not going to get it, though I think just off of the eye test, if I'm watching players, he stood out to me the most in terms of defense. Just as a reminder, as I showed earlier in the video, he was second in defensive rating in the NBA, only behind to Rudy. And also he leads the NBA in blocks per game at 3.6. That's a lot more higher than the second one, who is Brook Lopez at 2.4. One averaging an extra block a game, that's a lot. Within this NBA league where it's only a few blocks a game really leads the league, to average an extra block above somebody else, very impressive.
A lot. Wemby should be the defensive player of the year because he is that amazing defensively. But they just suck. And I love Coach Pop.
Coming from Draymond Green, a former defensive player of the year, has made 8 All-NBA defensive teams, including first and second, 4-time champion. That obviously means a lot. To close out this video, I want to show over the years, the last 23 years, I should say, all of the guys who won Defensive Player of the Year. And highlighted in red are all the players who I believe most would consider interior defenders, guys who really stayed in the paint. And on this list, there's not many guys on the perimeter who won Defensive Player of the Year, not many small forwards and especially guards. Gary Payton won in 96, and it took until 2023 for another guard to win, Marcus Smart, as we know. Basically, what I'm saying is, with the modern day NBA going in the direction that it is, I believe at some point you're going to see more players who are not just in the paint guarding win this award. And this is probably another video that I'll get into more detail, possibly within the future. Anyways, let me know what y'all think. Who do you want to see win Defensive Player of the Year? What do you think of the video? Comment below. Peace.